Hello, and thank you for watching this ag forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, I'm not sure if you can hear the cricket that's chirping in the room behind me somewhere, but it is rather symbolic of the forecast here across the Midwest, across the Corn Belt, as we head into the next 1 to 2 weeks, into the end of September. Now, the satellite picture has a couple dramatic features here. We've got Teddy, with the front extending all the way down toward the Caribbean. We've also got Tropical Storm Beta that continues to spin away across the Gulf Coast, moving into eastern Texas, slowly making its way across the southern U.S. We've also got a little frontal boundary that's got some very light showers making its way through the state of Wisconsin into lower Michigan as well. Much of the precipitation across the lower 48, though, associated with Beta off to the south. We've got some cool temps in the northeast right now, warm and muggy air filtering back in across the Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, it's very seasonally crisp, I guess, across the eastern Corn Belt here. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s across parts of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. A little bit warmer with temperatures right around 60 degrees as you head into parts of the central U.S. As I said, it's been quiet and it'll continue to be quiet across much of the Corn Belt. We're looking at the last 7 days of total precipitation, much of the rainfall associated with tropical activity across the southern U.S. We're now starting to bring some rainfall into the Pacific Northwest, but dry from the Central Plains all the way into the Northeast. And as we look at the next 15 days from the European ensemble, we're looking at dry conditions continuing across the central U.S., across the Corn Belt. And then here's the next 7 days forecast precipitation. Here is Beta, the heavy rainfall associated with Beta making its way across the southern U.S. We'll also have a series of systems making their way through the Great Lakes that could bring some rainfall to parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and then maybe the far eastern Corn Belt, the state of Ohio perhaps picking up around a half an inch of rainfall over the next 7 days. But again, dry conditions likely across a big chunk of the Corn Belt over the next 7 days, if not a bit longer. We will start bringing some warmer temperatures in here as we head into the next 5 to 7 days, but we're watching another drop or another push of cool air to come out of the Canadian prairie into the central U.S. as we get into, again, the last days of September here, the first days of October. So we'll bring this back, take the drawings off. Again, watching warmth spreading into the northern plains already. We'll see temperatures continuing to warm across the eastern Corn Belt as we head into the weekend as ridging slowly starts to slide in our direction. We'll keep warmer temperatures in place here across the Corn Belt and across much of the lower 48 as we head into the weekend and early next week. As we get into midweek, right around September 29th, 30th, getting into the first couple days of October, we're going to watch for another shot of cool air to come out of the Canadian prairie and settle down into the midsection of the country. It'll do so riding a big trough that's going to be developing across the midsection of the country. Again, I'll bring the 500 millibar flow across North America back to today. We're watching very strong flow across the Pacific. We're watching Teddy going through a pretty fascinating evolution with an upper level wave across the Atlantic. And then we've got fast flow racing across the Atlantic off towards Europe. In between that, we've got kind of slow, meandering, bunched up flow with some of these disorganized storm systems tracking across the northern plains into the Great Lakes. We're going to watch this wave, though, in a few pieces, a series of impulses making their way in here over the top of a ridge across the western U.S. that's going to help set up this trough across the midsection of the country. So here's the first wave that comes lifting into the Canadian prairie, brings this trough ashore across western Canada as we head into Thursday and Friday. We're then going to watch one or two additional pieces rotating around the base of this trough that's really going to help it continue across the northern plains and then dive in, digging in across the midsection of the country. So here we are on Sunday. We're starting to get this evolution going. We've got a trough beginning to develop here across the Great Lakes, but we've got this second big push, these screaming jet stream winds across the Gulf of Alaska. They're going to help really, they're going to come over the top of that ridge out in the west, and then look at that, really digging in and amplifying this pattern as we get into the end of September. This is the forecast now for September 30th, and there you see it, a big trough across the midsection of the country. This would bring in another shot of cool, dry air. So again, the pattern, for a couple of reasons, not supportive of heavy precipitation. The first of which, tropical activity. We've got Beta down here that has been churning away across the Gulf for about the last 7 days. It'll continue to do that over the next couple of days before making its way across the southern U.S. What Beta is doing is kind of keeping a lid on the deep Gulf moisture here across the Gulf of Mexico. It was first a big crashing front associated with this wave that's now interacting with Teddy across the Atlantic, so that's kind of squeegeed the moisture down to the Gulf Coast. We've kept it locked in there now, wrapping around the circulation of beta. And then additionally, as we head deeper into the last week of September, the first few days of October, as we continue this pattern that's going to dig a big ridge into the central part of the country, our trajectory here in the central U.S. for our air mass is going to be out of the northwest. So again, we're going to be taking these cool shots of dry air, bringing them down into the midsection of the country. So instead of, the opposite pattern would be a trough in the west, a ridge in the east, this is where we're tapping into the Gulf of Mexico. We're bringing storm systems over the midsection of the country. They're very wet, very stormy, and very active across the midsection of the country. That's not what we have. We have a ridge in the west, trough in the east, so no Gulf of Mexico. Instead, we're bringing our source regions from the north, cool, dry air coming out of the Canadian prairie. Again, it's just not going to happen. Now, we do have a chance for a couple of strong storms across portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin tomorrow. The Nutrien thunderstorm index that we run here has been rather quiet over the last 7 days, again with the cool, dry air mass continuing to be fed into the midsection of the country. But again, as we head into tomorrow afternoon and evening, we'll see a little impulse traveling across the northern U.S. that could bring a chance for some strong storms to parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. We'll look at that here. Quiet for the day Tuesday across the Corn Belt. Maybe some showers associated with beta in southern Missouri today, but this is the high-resolution NAM forecast for the day today. We'll take it into tomorrow afternoon. Again, we'll watch an impulse traveling through the northern plains with the potential to kick off some strong storms right here across northern Minnesota, getting into northern and central Wisconsin as we get into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night, perhaps producing some gusty winds, and those may flare up once again across portions of Wisconsin on Thursday. Taking a little bit of a wider look here and a little bit longer range, we'll take the European model through the next week. Again, here's that chance for some showers and storms across the northern U.S., across the upper Midwest to Wednesday and Thursday. We'll then see another little wave kind of tracking north of the prairie during the day on Friday. North of the Corn Belt through the prairie on Friday. And then as we get into Saturday, Sunday, early next week, this is when we're going to start to send these impulses over the top of the ridge in the west, diving progressively further down into the central U.S. So this is going to bring the chance for some rainfall across the Great Lakes, across the upper Midwest, but it's going to be sending cool and dry shots of air into the midsection of the country. So we're getting out there into what we call model la-la land, where the details are going to be rather unclear with the specifics here, but here's where that transition happens from a warmer and drier pattern across the midsection to a midsection of the country to a cool and dry pattern across the midsection of the country as we get into next week. This is that big sweeping front that comes through here. This would be right around Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Plenty of time to talk about it between now and then. But here's what you need to know. The next 7 days is going to be pretty dry, pretty quiet across the Corn Belt. Great harvest weather for many. Again, that chance for a couple of storms Wednesday and Thursday across Minnesota and Wisconsin. And then as we look at the next 15 days, taking it all the way into October 5th, the probability of picking up a half an inch of rainfall or more. There's going to be a couple areas where that's going to be possible. Again, with the jet stream doing something like this, we'll see the chance for heavy rainfall across the Pacific Northwest. We'll see the chance at times for rain across the Great Lakes, the northern portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, down into lower Michigan, and then down here where we have tropical impacts, notably beta here over the next 5 days, we'll see that chance for rainfall. But dry as we talk about the conditions here across the Corn Belt as we head into the last half of September, the first few days of October. Let's finish with a look at those high temperatures today. Warmth returning to the midsection of the country, first returning to the northern plains. We'll expand it into the eastern Corn Belt as we head deeper into the week and into the weekend, with 80s becoming more widespread. Cool shot of air first starting to appear here across the Pacific Northwest. That cooler air will be making its way into the midsection of the country as we head into next week. Have a great day. We'll talk to you again on Friday morning.